Our first pattern is based on rectangles and ellipses. We start with creating a new file in Adobe Illustrator, 10,000 pixels on 10,000 pixels, RGB color mode, 300 ppi resolution. If you want to create something that will be printed, I highly recommend to start with CMYK color mode. RGB is for screen mode. We create a rectangle with a rectangle tool, 300 on 300 pixels. The next step is to create an ellipsis that will be 600 on 600 pixels. We change fill to none and stroke to 1. Then we move the ellipses to fit the corners. To make sure that they align perfectly, we go to View, Outline, and we can move the ellipses slightly. Okay, it fits perfectly. Then we change the view to GPU. Now we can move our ellipses to the corner. We go to Transform and Move. So we have to move it 300 pixels to the right and 300 pixels down. And we click on Copy, so we create a new ellipsis. Now we select everything with the direct selection tool, with the selection tool, and now we go to our shape builder tool, and holding Alt we delete the shapes that we don't want, and just clicking we create new shapes. Now we select everything and change fill to black and stroke to none. We go to the swatches panel. If you don't see it, you can go to Window and Swatches. Let's see what colors we have to use. So we have to create 4 rectangles, as you can see, with a darker fill. So we have 3 shapes that we have to recolor. We select the first one, now the middle part, and the third one. Now we click Right, Move. We move it 300 pixels horizontally and 300 vertically, then we copy. Holding Shift and the Select tool, we can change the colors of more than one shape. Now we selected all 3 shapes on the right, and we will move them now to the left. Again, move. Now we add the minus because we want to move it horizontally to the left, and we don't move it vertically, so we leave it on 0. Now we can reflect the shapes around the object's center point, 90 degrees. We change the colors accordingly. We have last element left. We have to move it again. We move it both horizontally, 300 pixels, and vertically, minus 300 pixels. Now that we have our shapes ready, we can move on to creating the pattern. Okay, looks nice. We select everything with the selection tool and we drag it to the swatches panel. Now we double click on the swatch, and as you can see there are different options. The default one is the grid option. We can also do brick by row or brick by column, and we leave the brick offset on 1/2. Let's test out our pattern. So it should be more or less a few thousand pixels wide and a few thousand pixels high. Okay, looks good to me. So what can we do now? We can scale our pattern. Again, right click scale, and we just leave it on transform patterns and uniform. So you can scale it up or scale it down, it's up to you. Another thing that we can do is move not the whole shape, but just the pattern, both vertically and horizontally, to adjust it to our liking. Okay. Now let's see how we can export this pattern. We have two options. First one is to export it as single asset with right click. So we export the whole rectangle filled with pattern in a JPEG format. And click on export. We can also just copy or just export the single tile of the pattern, which we can later use in another project, for example in Adobe Photoshop. To save the swatch to use it later in Adobe Illustrator, we go to Swatches, Swatch Libraries, Menu, and then Save Swatches.